In case you're wondering, where was Marco Rubio during the Iran-Israel peace talks, and why was he at a UFC fight? I'll let you know he didn't want to be at that UFC fight looking high. I'm sure he wanted to be negotiating it. But before I tell you why, I want you to know a couple of Mondays ago, the former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie said that when he was an assistant United States attorney for New Jersey, Donald Trump approached him and asked him at dinner to find dirt on the Jared Kushner family. At that time, Chris Christie told him, well, you know that we're investigating him for various different things, but you should also know that he sent a hooker to his brother-in-law to seduce his brother-in-law, film it. And then after that happened, he took the footage to his sister because he was trying to break up the marriage. So you coming to me trying to stop your daughter from marrying this man is no surprise. He said this publicly a couple of Mondays ago. There's so much news, y'all forget it. I'm just letting y'all know that. So it tracks that Donald Trump will name Charles Kushner ambassador to France. It has nothing to do with this story. I just think you should know that. Back to the story, Marco Rubio very much wants to be part of the negotiations. When he was Secretary of State, I'm sure he was anticipating it. But what happened is Donald Trump was like, I trust who I trust. I trust my son-in-law, now that he's in the family, and I trust Steve Witkoff. They do great deals. They've got me a lot of great deals. They're great deal makers. And if they can negotiate and deal make real estate, how different can that be negotiating peace talks? Now we know the answer to that. It's hard as fuck. It's not easy. So anyway, if you don't believe me, you can watch this hearing that was held a few months ago in front of the Senate Oversight Committee. And Senator Rosen specifically said, listen, Marco, you don't look like you know what you're doing. You have all these special envoys that are negotiating treaties, and you don't seem to know what's going on. You don't even seem to be in charge. Marco Rubio with a straight face, and this is me doing my assessment of it. You can go and check it out yourself. I'm going to put you're watching the film here. I'm going to play this after this so you can watch the full thing on your own. But essentially, he was like, yeah, we organize their events. We're buying cookies. We're doing catering. They tell me sometimes, I let them know. But then the short answer, my ciphering from his answer is like, I don't know what's going on. They don't respect me. They don't coordinate with me. I find out when you find out. But that's what it is. He's wearing the clown shoes that the clown gave him. He is, thirsty, sinking in a chair, looking like, how the hell did I get him? He's doing the job of national security advisor. Donald Trump made him the head of every USAID, made him the head. Every single thing the freaking dumbass Elon Musk dismantled, Donald Trump was like, all right, Marco, you in charge of this now. He told Marco, you in charge of Venezuela. He's just telling him stuff off the top of his dome. No coordination, no advance. And they're sitting behind him like, what? He said, yeah, you and Pete Hegseth, y'all in charge of Venezuela now. And so,
are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela? And will you be sending in U.S. military troops to provide?
Team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro. And right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice.
Then now, that's why the messaging conflicts. That's why one day Marco Rubio is saying this is about regime change, and the next day they're talking about oil. The next day they're talking about nuclear proliferation. Next day they're talking about Strait of Hormuz. It's because they're not coordinated. It's a hot mess. And what happens when you watch these hearings, and watch this hearing, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and flip on it. Go to my YouTube channel. I have the full 1 hour hearing. And in the 1 hour hearing, he totally, essentially just confesses a lot of things. He confirms suspicions we had. Essentially, the nutshell is that there's no coordination. They know that what they're doing is against the law, or they don't know, or they're not quite sure, but none of them know how to govern. It's just a hot mess. It's just a hot mess of it. And you're just looking at it like, wow, I really did destroy this country. I mean, it had its flaws, lots of flaws. It has this, toward history, yes, true. But it had a blueprint. It had established 254 years of standards, protocols, processes to avoid this utter, issue that's going on right now. And we didn't think one regime could break as many laws and dismantle as many institutions and norms and protocols in a year But y'all managed to do this. Donald Trump, essentially, I feel like he just said to himself, how can I cost as much money as possible? I'm looking at his litigation, his lawful strategy. He's fighting battles that he knows he is not going to win. He's fighting battles that multiple federal district courts says you don't have the constitutional legal rights to do these things. But despite the fact he's like still fight it. Like right now, they try to withdraw, for example, the lawsuit against the they were fighting and appealing the law firms that Donald Trump tried to punish. And when they realized that's a losing battle, and the DOJ tried to sneak it in and say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. Donald Trump was like, hell yeah, not, keep going. And so they went right back in, and they're still fighting that. They're going to lose. They've lost on every different turn. They've lost for multiple judges, including judges appointed by Donald Trump. That's a loser. Even if it goes up to the Supreme Court, it's a loser. But he says keep fighting. So they're putting resources, legal resources to fight losing battles instead of ones that they could possibly win. So this is why this man, and that's a problem when you have sycophants, because you don't have people who can tell you, no, we're not doing it. I'm going to risk you firing me. I'm going to stand up. None of them have the balls. None of them have the cojones. Marco Rubio doesn't have the balls to say, no, I think I should be there negotiating this, because out of all of this, between your realtor friend and your realtor brother-in-law, I actually have national security foreign diplomatic experience, having been a U.S. senator, having actually friends that work in these spaces. My counterparts in all these nations, I know them, so I can actually use my contacts and connects to get some of these deals done. They can be doing me a favor. I can be effective. But Donald Trump is stupid, and Donald Trump just trusts who he trusts, and he thinks he's smart. And he said it out his own mouth that he doesn't like smart people. He says smart people irk him. He said he loves the poorly educated. You know why? Because it's easy to manipulate y'all and tell you, remaining MAGAs, that picture of him looking like Jesus of Nazareth healing the sick is a doctor. And y'all like, yeah, he was a doctor. That's why he likes the poorly educated, the easily fooled, the religious fanatics, and he doesn't like smart people like Marco Rubio doing things. He wants his realtor son-in-law, who he barely wanted in a family. It is what it is. Anyway, watch this video on the other side of this intro and let me know if you get the same feeling I got about it, because that was my assessment. And the senator was like, okay, so that's your story. All right, let's move on to Board of Peace and these other things that you weren't authorized. Share, let's talk about
It's an ongoing endeavor.
I think it does undermine our credibility, but I'm going to move on to some foreign policy decision making here, because despite the fact that you famously or infamously have numerous jobs in the administration, your Secretary of State, your National Security Advisor, it is increasingly unclear who's actually directing U.S. foreign policy under President Trump. We have a special envoy Witkoff. He's reportedly conducted Russia-Ukraine talks in Switzerland beyond your awareness. He and Jared Kushner have been described as managing the president's Gaza plan. Meanwhile, Ambassador Barrack is leading on Syria policy, while Special Envoy Boulos is appearing to lead on our Africa policy. So I have to ask you, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you, are you the lead for U.S. government on foreign policy?
No. The lead on U.S. foreign policy is named Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. On the individuals you've described, these are very valuable teams. We have if I can answer, because I think it's important. It's a legitimate question. I have the distinction, but I think both the benefit of being the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State. As National Security Advisor, my job is to coordinate the interagency function of national security, and that involves foreign policy. So I speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in the case of Gaza and now Russia, probably 10 times a day. We have multiple meetings and coordination. All of it is we build a team, we gather facts, we present options, and then we take them to the president. It is the president who directs the foreign policy of the United States. That's always been the case, by the way.
You can't overrule their decisions. Do you outrank the special envoys and ambassadors? Do they get your input as
an example?
Do they care about your input, or do they go straight to the president?
There's no time in which the president is presented an option by one of us at the exemption of everybody else. It depends on the portfolio. But in every one of these portfolios, we have a team approach to this, which is the way the system is supposed to work. It's not the way it's always worked. You have had in the past tensions between the National Security Council that became operational and the Department of State. In this particular case, there's not much conflict between the two because it's the same person. And we basically, What we basically try to do in every one of these unique missions is we create a consensus team around it, and then we present the president options together. It's the president's decision, nobody else's. There's no overruling here. The president makes the decision. Our job is to present him options.
Shouldn't they report to you? Shouldn't there be a line of command and a line of transparency?
They report to me every day.
Where does the buck stop?
But they report to me every day in terms of keeping me apprised of what's happening. I give advice. I give, in some cases, direction. They involved heavily. For example, the special envoys rely almost exclusively on State Department personnel to assist them in all of their efforts. For example, on the Board of Peace, we helped them position the entire gathering last week and all of the work that's going to happen now. On every one of these issues, it's not linear. No single individual other than the president has the ability to dictate our foreign policy. Our job is to come to a consensus view on the best way forward. Where there are disputes, those are presented to the president, and he makes the decision.
Let's talk about the Board of Peace then, because all treaties and statutes have to be approved by Congress, and the president is starting a new Board of Peace, and we would need that authority. The authority for the filing stems from the International Organizations Immunities Act, but it's my understanding it only provides the president with such authority when participation by the in an organization has been approved by treaty or statute. Treaties and statutes must be approved by Congress. So when will the administration be requesting Congress pass legislation to authorize the president to extend this benefits to the Board of Peace, creating the Board of Peace, and when will it be sent?
Well, actually, the Board of Peace was chartered and set up by the UN Security Council through a vote of the UN Security Council as the deliberation. So it's an international organism recognized by the Security Council of the United Nations, which is something I think many of you should be supportive of. The fact that we're doing it.
The president is claiming his authority is from the International Organizations Immunities Act. And this law only provides the president authority when U.S. participation has been approved by treaty or statute. I know my time is up. Please consider working with us to do these things. You know what it is to be a senator. You know what that collaboration and cooperation